How much does it cost to sell online? What to take into account and what should stay beside? There are many parameters of your e-commerce expenses. Some are critical. What are the points that we can influence to make our e-commerce offer better? This is what we're going to talk today. So what does it take to sell online? What does it cost to sell online? Eventually, the first thing is the cost of your products, of producing your jewelry, which is very important, unlike, for example, digital products where you basically have no cost of the product itself, meaning in materials. For jewelry, it plays a very important role that we're selling online. What is the difference between selling online and offline? In offline you have to produce the jewelry before you sell it, which means you have to invest in all the materials. If it's a diamond jewelry, if it's a fine jewelry, it's quite expensive. And at the end you will find yourself having quite an expensive stock. The difference of online selling is that we receive the money or the obligation from our buyer to buy the product before we produce the product. How does it happen? Basically, what we sell online is the photos and the videos. So once we have the jewelry produced once, or even before producing, once we have the model of the jewelry, we will be able to sell it. How we use it, how we basically can provide a good service, what we can actually do, we can solve it with a longer shipping and handling time. Meaning, if I don't have physically, if I don't have the product here near me, I can say that this product will be shipped in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, or whatever is good for me. As quick, of course, it's as quick as I will be able to send it. This way, I will be able to increase my stock without setting money aside. Now, where we get with this, that selling online saves us a lot of handling stock. Next thing will be the shipping cost of your items. Basically, when we start selling internationally, start selling online, the shipping increases. So we have to take into account that normally these shipping costs are better to be covered by us. We don't expect our buyers worldwide, we don't expect our buyers to pay for the shipping. It will be much easier for the clients, and some marketplaces also require that we show the final price to our client. So one of the very important expenditures we will have would be the shipping price. So our goal when we calculate our cost would be, how can I also lower this cost, as they play a very important role. Especially if we say that we want to use some expedited and fast shipping like FedEx, UPS or DHL or something else. These prices can be very high comparing to your jewelry, especially in the fine jewelry. Not when we speak about 5,000 items, $5,000 items, but when we speak about $200 or $500 item, here you will have to think twice how you can lower these costs. Well, naturally, when you send your jewelry that is between $15 to $50, no one would expect you to send it with with some fast shipping. So you can use some EcoPost, some economy international shipping, so that these items will on one side arrive in 3-4 weeks, but on the other side you will be competitive comparing to the local manufacturers. Тяжело разойтись. Okay. Next component of your selling cost would be the marketplaces itself. And this is an important component, as some marketplaces charge you 20-25% of the final selling fee. Now, normally there are two components in this part. The selling fee, which means if I sell $100 item on eBay, I will pay 9% of this, which means $9 to the eBay. And on Etsy it would be 3.5, and Amazon would be 20% without FBA, without fulfillment by Amazon. So these costs are quite high, and the first one is the final fee. But this is a good part because it means we have already sold this item. And here, normally, these are not the things that are to be considered, because every seller on this marketplace will pay the same, which means we can simply add these costs to our cost when we calculate the price, and everyone will be doing the same. So it's not that we are in troubles comparing to someone else. More important are the insertion fees. So there are fees for handling your storefront, for your store. There are fees for placing your item, if it's 20 cents per each listing or 5 cents and so on. And these are things that are very important to be taken in account, especially that you pay them before you sell your item. Now, together with this, the next component would be all the promotion and getting started fees. So once we enter some additional marketplace, exactly as if we open an additional channel of sales channel, it doesn't matter if it's online or offline, we will have to create some budget, to allocate some budget to have this marketplace or this channel work for you. In the beginning, it might be some items that you will sell even below your cost, so that on the dumping prices, so that you will actually create the initial flow of the deals of the clients into your web store. Why is it important? Because as we speak all the time, we repeat, marketplaces, their main idea is to create some social proof and to create some differentiation between an experienced seller and inexperienced seller. So to show that you're an experienced seller and you know how to work in this specific marketplace, not on your website, not in your physical store, but in this specific marketplace. Okay? To show that you are there, you will have to create the initial history, and this history will cost some money. As we always remind the quick seller, the items that you will produce in quantities and sell them at the minimal revenue or even break even, so that you simply cover your production costs and shipping and handling costs. All these things have to be done, and this is a budget you have to allocate. Now, together with this, where it leads us, you have to, on one side, to compare the marketplaces according to how much it costs selling there, but remembering that the final fees, they are less critical, as everyone on the same marketplace pays the same. And what is more interesting is the insertion fees. and all the promotional fees, and if it's paying for promoted items or making some discounts, because the specific marketplace requires you to sell 30%. For example, yep, the best practices would be put 30% of your items on the different kind of sales and discounts. Okay. The next point would be the clearing fees, meaning your payment processing. If we speak about PayPal, it's more than 3% at the beginning, especially when we speak about international sellers. And this is not all, it's also the conversion fee and different merchant account fees that you pay. So the clearing fees is the next expense, and here the good solution would be checking in the beginning what is the chain of lowering these fees. Not always it is good to start with paypal.com if you are in some country that does not allow you to receive US dollars in your account. So maybe if you're in UK or in some Asia country, you will have to choose some local PayPal that will, first of all, local PayPal cost less. They simply have better rates than paypal.com. And the second thing is to check if you will be able to receive money in the specific currency that you accept. So, for example, paypal.com does not allow to receive money in Israel in dollars, so which means the conversion will be very expensive. And the thing is also, while opening the account, would be what is my main target country, so that I will have the same account, the same currencies in my account as I am planning to receive the money is, so I don't pay the conversion fees. And there are many services like Pioneer, like World First, that provide different kinds of solutions to optimize this chain. Another thing that people often forget to take into account is return fees. The normal requirement of almost every marketplace would be that you handle the returns. Forget about the marketplaces, it's just the question of good customer services, that you know to price your product correctly, so that you know the percentage of the returned items, whether it's 2% or 5%, so that once you have this problem, you will never require your client to pay for it. Because it adds a lot to your trust, to how you look in the eyes of your buyer, and how he sees the potential problems or things to solve once he pays and buys from you. So return fees, take into account your normal return rate and just add it to your price. Next point would be logistic fees. Logistics, as we always say, is one of the three main parameters of successful ingredients of the successful online selling, together with customer service and technology. So improving the logistic fees, it's not only about your carriers, postal carriers that you use, it's also about the insurance, it's also about the fulfillment centers that you use, as all this structure is very important for your successful e-commerce. It's not only about the product, it's also about arranging the complete deal with your client. And now we come to some very interesting ingredient that is very hard to understand and very important to understand. Behind all the customer service and the logistics and all other customer service, technology. Okay. Behind all the three leg stable components that we speak as is customer service and logistics and the technology, there are people behind all this. So it's very important to calculate the manpower costs. Even if it's your time. So even if you are in United States and the minimum wage rate is $7.25 an hour. Well, probably you're not a student that works for this money, but it's very important that you take this time into account. Optimizing this time will save a lot of money. And most probably also outsourcing the correct work to the correct people will influence it a lot. So when we speak to different budgets, for example, the technology budget, we normally hear, oh, this automation, this program is very expensive for me. It's very easy to understand that paying a few $100s is not trivial, but always before saying that, check how much time you spend handling your online sales work. From our experience, and we handle dozens of stores, we never recommend having less than half a position, half-time job for working online. So if we calculate just the cost of this work, it's worth the automation, worth optimizing it, even comparing it with all other components of your cost that we spoke. The cost of producing your jewelry, the cost of clearing, marketplace, and etc., etc. So the last component is the technology, and the technology, the goal of investing in the good technology is saving your time, and especially taking into account that 90% of our time goes to maintaining the existing structure, and only 10% of our time in every business goes to development of the new business. So even if we free another 10% from our time by using technology, and even if we save only 10% of our time, brings us into absolutely different position. So manpower costs and technology costs go always together, and remember calculating correctly who is involved in your operation. Even if you ask your friends, if you ask your parents or whoever it is, or your workers, if you already have this person half-time job, how you can optimize, because these costs are the costs that are very different between different sellers, and this is the place that you will, if you will be able to optimize it, it will create the real comparative advantage towards other sellers. To summarize, there are many lines in your table of your expenses, and the most important thing is, as we see it from our experience, first, to concentrate on things that you can influence. It doesn't matter how much you pay to the specific marketplace, as all the players are in the same position, and it will influence simply the same on the same way the pricing of everyone in the marketplace. So it shouldn't be a consideration to work on Etsy because it takes only 3.5% and not on eBay because it takes 9%. What you should concentrate is the things that you can influence. And from our experience, the manpower is the parameter that mostly people forget. So take these things into account. Good automation will save a lot of time and also improve the quality of your work, and this is probably the most important thing. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to comment, to ask. We'll be glad to share from our experience, and have a good selling.